What's up, y'all? Listen, my bad. I know I didn't set the time. Y'all were coming in looking for me. I apologize. But we are here for the OJ Simpson, what's that thing? Made in America, Part 3. This episode really focused on moving into the trial. So let's get into it. Again, you guys, this took me down memory lane. Okay, this took me down memory lane. Let me put a little lip on. My lip running off a little bit. Let me put a little lip. Yeah, a little lip. Juvia's Place. It's a Juvia's Place gloss. This is called Merlot. Moreau. Okay? I love this little gloss. Anyway, let me get to my notes, chat. Here we go. Hey, everybody coming in. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dawn Simber. She said, just drop it by again. I appreciate it. So listen, I told you guys before, this is kind of hard for me because one, it takes me down memory lane, but it also brings back a lot of things that, it just brings back certain things. Hey, Cheryl, what's up, boo? We only need 203. Yes, honey. We're trying to get to our 1K subs on the review channel. Thank you, Cochran, for being over there and hyping it up. 203 subscribers. So if you are not subscribed, I should have put it on members only on the main channel. Maybe I'll change it. Hold on. Maybe I'll change it to members only. We're trying to get the 1,000. Yeah. We almost have the watch time hours too. I haven't been pressing out the watch time hours until I get the 1,000 subscribers. But we're getting there, y'all. We're the little engine that good. So part 3, it starts off the day of the unaliving. You know, certain words YouTube is funny about too early on in the video, so you got to bear with me. But June the 13th of 1994 was the day that it happened, right? The police were called to the house. There was a really, really, really bad blood. There's a lot of blood. They found the left glove. Now, y'all know the glove becomes very important. The children were actually still asleep upstairs. Now, I'm not sure if that says a lot about the children being used to sleeping through a lot of ruckus and screaming and hollering, because I'm certain there had to be some of that happening. No matter how the unaliving went down, there had to be noise and ruckus and screaming. Like, it had to be, right? But the fact that the kids were still upstairs asleep. Oh, and let me put a dot there. The kids did not go live with Nicole's sister. The kids lived with OJ after he was acquitted. I think the kids lived with her sister during the trial. But once he was acquitted, those kids lived with him. I read that yesterday or the day before yesterday when I was reading something, and I was reading about the daughter Sydney. They were saying that she's a very private, she lives a very private life, and they were saying that she lived with her father after he was acquitted. Well, the other day, I think we were saying that they were raised by her sister, and that's not accurate. I just wanted to clear that up. That's not accurate. They also said that OJ died around his family, and found out that's not accurate. There was actually, his lawyer said there was actually only one family member that was there when he died, and the rumor is that it was the son, the youngest son, the son from Nicole. The rumor is it was the son because allegedly the son actually quit his job and moved to Vegas to help take care of OJ in his last day. So they think that it was the son who was actually there on his last day. That doesn't mean that people didn't come visit. That doesn't mean people didn't come through. Okay? But that's the rumor. Justin, they'll have the wrong son. Yana, I got the wrong son. Because Justin is the oldest son, right? The one that they thought had something to do with the situation, right? Isn't that Justin? I don't know. I don't want to say it wrong. Yana gonna clear it up for me. So because no, that's his name. Oh, okay, I got the right name. Okay, thank you, boo. So because OJ Simpson and Nicole Simpson were not divorced at the time, they were separated and they were moving towards divorce. The divorce had been filed, but the divorce had not been finalized. Because of that, OJ Simpson was the next of kin. Jason is the oldest. Thank you, Brooklyn. Thank you. Yeah, when that guy spoke on a previous episode about his relationship with Nicole, and OJ accused Nicole of being intimate, Nicole told him to keep it down because the kids were asleep. Okay, got you. So that's how OJ even with that. That's so this whole thing starts with the police leaving her house. And remember, she only lived a couple of blocks away from OJ, and driving over to OJ's house to make the next of kin notification. But according to the Popo, when they pulled up to his house, they saw the white Bronco, and allegedly there was blood on the door of the white Bronco. Allegedly. I only say allegedly because it was Mark Fuhrman, and we if you don't remember or you don't know, you're about to learn about Mr. Mark Fuhrman in a minute. But yes. Now remember, the only thing they kept saying was that there was a dog barking, a dog barking, a dog barking. The fact that no one heard anything was crazy to me. She lived in a main road in a quiet area. Cheryl, I'm telling you, me too. Me too. Okay. They said when they first knocked on the door, nobody was answering the door and nobody was answering the phone. But allegedly, Mark Fuhrman said because he saw the blood on OJ Simpson's door on the white Bronco in the driveway. At the time, they didn't know whether it was OJ's car or not. They just knew it was a white Bronco in the driveway with blood on it. And because they had just left Nicole Brown's house and they knew that there was a bunch of blood and stuff, they knew what was there. They were like, this is exigent circumstances. And they hopped the fence to go on to OJ's property. Because remember, he lives in a gate. Here's a gate. You can't just drive up in his house. There's a gate there. They hopped the fence and rolled up in the house. And that is when they came across Kato Caitlin. Now, for those who don't know Kato Caitlin, none of us, and when I say none of us, I mean none of us, to this day, we don't know why the hell he was there. We don't know who he is and why he was there. He was this white guy who was living in OJ's pool house, guest house, whatever. I don't think it was ever really clear to us the who, the what, the when, the where, and the why, and the how of Kato Caitlin. I mean, Kato told the police, OJ is in Chicago. They told when did OJ leave? OJ left, did I write the time down, child? I ain't write the time down. But OJ was on his way to Chicago. Now, again, for those of us who remember, OJ went to Chicago that night. Now, the timeline gets really tricky based on, I did write the time down. That might just be later on. Hold on. I did. So hold on. I got the timeline. So hold on. Now, allegedly, when they went to Kato Caitlyn's guest house, allegedly they found the other glove. So they allegedly found the left glove at Nicole's house. And I keep saying allegedly because, again, it's Mark Fuhrman. And that was a question mark at the trial about Mark Fuhrman. Did he plant evidence? That's why I keep saying allegedly. And allegedly, they found the right glove outside of Kato Caitlyn's house. Now, here is one question I had. I just thought about this while I was talking to y'all. one question. On one hand, they was trying to say that somebody ran through the yard because Caitlin testified that he saw a figure run through the yard, and they were trying to say that it was OJ, and that's when he must have dropped the glove, right? When he ran through Caitlin's yard, because he must have went over on foot over to Nicole's house to do what he to do, and then came back. But here's my question. If OJ ran his happy ass over to Nicole's house, did the do, and ran his happy ass back, why would there be blood on the Bronco? I mean, if he didn't move the car, wasn't that the driver? Maybe that's what it was, Empress. Maybe they saying the driver. Because in my mind, I thought that's what they was trying to say. But okay, maybe they were saying that's the driver. Maybe they were saying that was the driver. But okay, we didn't get that far yet. That must be episode 4 where they get into that testimony. But in my mind, I was just thinking. In my mind. Okay. As soon as Nicole's sister found out, she said, I knew he was going to kill her. I knew he was going to do it. So there was never any doubt from the beginning that OJ Simpson did it. And when the police called the family to tell the family about Nicole, the sister said it, which of course immediately the police were like, oh, really? Okay. So then in enters Marsha Clark. Now, again, if y'all know anything about the OJ child, Marsha Clark was the lead prosecutor. And she said, I thought he was a has-been. And she claimed, she said, I knew who OJ Simpson was, but I never really watched football or anything. So I just thought he was a has-been. And when OJ Simpson got back from Chicago, he was arrested. Because again, they were like, something happened here. Some things went down. So he was arrested when he got back from Chicago. What up, Don Boo? Okay. Now, the police did question OJ Simpson. Child, we ain't gonna talk about Marsha Clark and her bad hair, honey. Woo! Yeah, Marsha Clark said, what you not gonna do, you might have got me once, but you won't get me twice. Hell, Marsha Clark looked better in this documentary than she looked during the whole trial. And they tried to give her a makeover and everything down to the trial. And she looked better on this documentary. She had a cute little haircut and everything. Marsha Clark did well. Let's be clear. Marsha Clark did well after the OJ trial. Okay? Didn't she become a writer or author or something? She did well after the OJ trial. Remember the scandal? Because her and Chris Darden ended up having an affair. Remember, Marsha Clark was married or going through it. No, she was a single mom. She was single, but she had 2 kids, like 2 young kids. And her and Chris Darden ended up having an affair. Oh, we're going to get, well, I don't know if they talk about that on here, but we're going to get to Chris Darden in a minute, child. We're going to get to Chris Darden in a minute, okay? Now, when OJ Simpson got back, he had an injury on his finger. And they asked OJ, what happened to your finger, bro? And he said that he cut his finger on a glass down to the hotel room. Now, the police did talk to OJ Simpson, but according to Marsha Clark and pretty much everybody else, it was a softball interview. They said, had that been anybody else sitting in that interrogation room with the amount of evidence that they had at the time, there would have been a whole different line of questioning. But because he was OJ Simpson, and because those police officers didn't really want to, they was doing a little 1-2 step with him, and they really weren't asking him the hard questions. And then after they got done talking to him, they let him go home. Marsha Clark said, had that been anybody else, he would have been arrested and he'd have been booked and he'd have been charged, because there was enough evidence to charge him at that time, based on the blood, based on the glove, based on the timeline. based on their the past of domestic abuse. They said anybody else would have been arrested. And I agree with that too. I agree with that 100%. They let that man walk right on out of there without nothing. They didn't charge him. They didn't do nothing. Okay. So OJ goes back home, and his little friend, remember I told y'all in the last episode, his friend that was a cop that he knew that OJ played football with his brother, and he was, he became really good friends with OJ. He said, he went over to the house, and they were at the house, and OJ was all watching it on TV. They said OJ had 3 different TVs on that was showing the people, the different TV stations talking about him and talking about the case. And he was like, I can't believe they think I did this. I can't believe they think I killed Nicole. I can't believe this. I can't believe this. And he was like, he asked OJ, he said, so bruh, what happened to your finger? Ron Shipp. Thank you, Kenya. He said, so bruh, what happened to your finger? He said, OJ was like, oh man, I cut it on the glass. I cut it on a piece of glass, down to the hotel. He said, oh, okay. He said later on that day, somebody asked OJ, hey man, what happened to your finger? And he said, oh man, I messed it up chipping a tee down to the golf course. So Ron Shipp was like, that ain't what you just told me 15 minutes ago. And then he said, somebody else asked him what happened to his finger. And he told him, oh, I hurt my finger in the door trying to get out the night that I went to Chicago. Ron said he got his ass up out that house that day and he never went back. And when OJ Simpson hired his first, dream team, his mini dream team before Johnny Cochran came on board, they wanted to hire Shipp as an investigator. They wanted him on the team. And when they got in touch with him, and he asked him, they said, we want, OJ wants you on his team. He wants you to be one of his investigators. Ron Shipp said, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. And they was like, what you? And they said they were shocked because I guess OJ had said, yeah, that's my man. He on the police force. I guess by that time he had to have been retired because he wouldn't have been able to work for OJ and still be actively on the force. So he must have been retired. And I guess OJ must have been like, yeah, he your man. He got you. And when he told him no, and they said, well, why not? Why you don't want to be on the team? He said, because OJ did it. Now, let me go through the timeline. Here's the timeline. $5:00, it was a dance recital. OJ and Nicole, from my remembrance, yeah, they were at the school for Sydney's dance recital. At 5:30, Nicole and her people went to dinner down to the restaurant Mezzaluna. At 9:30, OJ and Kato went down to the McDonald's to get them something to eat before they headed back to the house, before OJ had to get out of town, had to go to the Chicago situation. At 9:47, that's when Nicole realized that she had left her glasses, and she called down to the restaurant. Hey, St. James. Hey, boo. And Ron Goldman, it's like, I think it was like at 9:50. Ron Goldman was like, I'll take her sunglasses. The restaurant was closing up, and he told her he'd take her sunglasses on his way home. Now, at 11:50, OJ was in the limo on his way to the airport. And then I think they said I think his flight left at 12:30, something like that. Because I said, those are the pre-9/11 days where you could get to the airport 30 minutes before your flight and still make it to your gate, honey. Especially when you was a celebrity and he could probably bypass most of the bull hockey and the hula la, right? Nowadays, I wouldn't chance that. Okay. So first, OJ hires Robert Shapiro as his lawyer, but Robert Shapiro is not a trial attorney. He is more of a let's settle this, let's get it done. And so they hire F. Lee Bailey. For those who do not know, F. Lee Bailey is probably one of the most successful trial attorneys in the history of our country. I mean, he has defended a whole lot of the celebrity heavy hitters over the years. Baby, they said OJ went down to the weight. Everybody was shocked that he was down to the weight. Now, I don't understand why y'all was so shocked. At that point, you're in a situation where you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, right? If you don't show up, everybody gonna say you guilty. But he still had 2 young children. Let's assume for a minute he ain't do it. That's his his wife. He still has 2 young children. Why wouldn't he go? Now, the flip side, if you believe he did it, the audacity. How dare he show up at the wake? But if he ain't do it, why wouldn't he go? And if he doesn't want to look guilty, why wouldn't he go? Now, they said that he seemed very lethargic at the wake, almost like he had been sedated, which he probably had took some pills. You know, he probably took a little something, you know. It was a lot going on, you know. On June the 17th is the infamous Bronco chase. So here's what had happened. The morning of June the 17th, OJ's attorneys had negotiated his surrender to the LAPD. Again, that is some celebrity status bullshit. Because anybody else would have got the popo knocking on their dodo first thing in the morning with a warrant ready to take them down. Okay? But you arranged a nice little old surrender. He was supposed to surrender at 11 o'clock. They even had a whole press conference set up and everything else. Baby, 11:47 rolled around. OJ wasn't there. And they had to do this press conference looking stupid as hell because they thought they was going to be announcing that OJ Simpson was in custody. And instead, they was announcing, we don't know where the hell OJ is. The DA was looking stupid. The chief of police was looking stupid. Everybody was looking stupid. And where was OJ? Don't nobody know where OJ was. OJ's attorneys allegedly claimed that they didn't know where he was. They said we left him with Al. They was downstairs. We were upstairs handling some business. And next thing you know, they was just gone. We don't know. That's what they were saying. We don't know. It sure did. It interrupted the NBA finals. I'll never forget. Because I remember I was at my aunt's house. We was playing cards, watching the basketball game. It was the Phoenix Suns. I forgot who they were playing. I just know it was Charles Barkley because at the time I was a real big Charles Barkley fan. And I remember it was Charles Barkley. It was the Phoenix Suns. I want to say it was the Philadelphia 76ers or the New York Knicks. But don't quote me on that, y'all. Do not quote me on that. Robert Kardashian shows up and reads this letter. Now, I should have maybe got the voice note so y'all could hear him reading this letter. But to paraphrase, it was a non-suicide letter. Because the letter was he was very clear not to use specific language. He never said specifically, I am going to unalive myself. But it was a very woe is me. It was the Knicks. It was Houston? Okay. Well, Charles Barkley played for Houston, so it wasn't the Phoenix Suns. It was Houston. Okay. Thank you, Brooklyn. Thank you, Brooklyn Carter. So, he reads this letter, and the letter is very much I can't believe that people believe this about me. I've always lived my life a certain way. I don't know if I can go on without Nicole. I don't know if I could go on with people looking at me the way they look at me and people thinking of me the way they think of me. I don't know if I can live like this. I don't know if I can stand this. I don't know if I could do this. It was a very weird letter. And again, he's not point blank saying I ain't gonna be here no more. But you could interpret it that way. You know what I'm saying? It was very open-ended, right? So, of course, from that point on, everybody thought OJ is gonna. What up, DC Kool-Aid? What up, boo? DC Kool-Aid and Lisa. I'm sorry, DC Kool-Aid and Lisa. What's up, y'all? Everybody felt like, not everybody, but a lot of people felt like, okay, does this mean what it sounds like it means? In the meantime, they still couldn't find his ass, okay? The letter was a narcissist looking for his supply. He was never going to do it to himself. I don't think so either. So next thing you know, they're looking for OJ. Everybody on the lookout for OJ. And a local news helicopter found him. Well, the police found him first. And then the news helicopter found him. And that is when they interrupted everybody's good TV show to watch this damn low-speed chase. Because there wasn't nothing high speed about this chase. Now, I'm going to say something that's going to be controversial. That maybe y'all are not going to agree with. But let me say this. I understand how it looked. Here you are. You have this celebrity that is leading the police on this chase. He was supposed to surrender. He didn't. So technically, he's a fugitive from the police. However, I got arrested. He got charged. He got arrested after it was over. He got charged and arrested for aiding and abetting a fugitive from the law. He did. He got charged. I don't think he did any jail time behind it, but he did get charged. So, but literally at the time, he was holding a weapon, threatening to unalive himself. Now, whether he meant it or not, whether he was ever going to do it or not, that's two different conversations, right? Do I think special preference was given because of who he was? Of course, absolutely. But do I feel like the way they handled it was wrong, given the threat that he was going to unalive himself in the back seat of the car? Now, could the police have cut it off? Absolutely. Absolutely. There's no reason in the world why that man was supposed to go from wherever he was all the way to his mama's house. All the way to his mama's house? I mean, all the way to his house, because he was like, I just need to see my mama. I just need to see my mama. I absolutely feel like that chase could have been cut off, right? They could have put a blockade and forced them to stop. But now you're in the middle of the damn highway, right? They could have put the little things down and it could have blew the tire out in the car. But if the man got a weapon literally to his head, now, you chancing that happening, right? I really felt like I understood. It wasn't for hours. It was too long, though. It was a long damn time. But now they had been out driving for hours, but the police weren't following them for hours. At least that's not my understanding. I could be wrong. Y'all correct me. They let him get all the way to his house, where they had SWAT. They had a hostage negotiator, had all these things in place waiting for him to get to his house. Now, let me rewind a little bit. While the chase was going on, and again, for those of us who remember it, we remember the chase. But while the chase was going on, here is where you get the first glimpse of what this is going to be not only race relations like, but celebrity like. It was 2 hours per Google. Okay, it was 2 hours. Race relations, also celebrity wise, right? because you literally had people lined up on the side of the highway with signs that said "Run Juice, Run," "Go Juice, Go," "Free OJ." Literally, as he's driving to his house. Now, this is a gated community now. Gated community. People lined up on the street. Lined up on the street. Exactly. So fair. It was definitely a response to what happened with the riots and Rodney King. Absolutely. They definitely could not afford to have that play out on national, especially when they knew they were on national television. Absolutely. Absolutely. That is when, if they didn't figure it out, that is when the police should have known they were in trouble. Again, that doesn't mean you don't do your job. That doesn't mean you don't follow the evidence. But that is when they should have realized this is going to be a shit show. Right? Because I was watching it going, how they get them signs made so fast? Like, these were some pretty nice looking signs. I mean, you could tell they were homemade, but I'm like, who the fuck is making these signs? Anyway. They get to his house and he refuses to get out the car. Again, he refuses to get out the car. Am I saying Al Collins? You mean AC? Yeah, okay, AC. My bad. Until it was dark. And I do agree with the guy talking in the documentary that he believes that he purposely waited for it to get dark so that people would not be able to get a shot of him getting out the car. Even though they did end up getting a shot of him in the, in handcuffs and everything else. But I absolutely believe that he waited until it was dark on purpose. Because once it got dark, then, he got out the car and he, turned, he threw down the weapon. Yeah. Al Cowlings. Okay, so Al Cowlings is AC. Yes, same person. You was thinking the same thing about the signs, right? I was like, where are they getting these damn... they're on the highway with signs. Who is selling the signs? Like, who just had poster boards sitting in their house with some markers and just said, and not only did they have the supplies, they were in the right place. They were on overpasses. They were on the side of the road. I was like, well, how are these people maneuvering all of this? I was like, what the hell? Okay. So the next day, of course, he has his preliminary hearing. We've all seen that with him looking totally out of it. He got the bags under his eyes. He looked like he don't know where he is. He can't even barely get out not guilty when it's time for him to plead. He look a whole mess, okay? Now, something that was really, really nasty, and again, the police officer said that once he was in the car, handcuffed, and they were taking him to the station, OJ said, what are all these niggas doing in Brentwood? As they were passing the people that had been lining the streets. What are all these niggas doing in Brentwood? Now, they did say that they had found passports and cash in the car. So he clearly was trying to get the hell out the country. We're not going to play no games. He clearly was trying to get out the country. He had his passport and he had money. And I'm sure that's where they were headed. From LA, they was headed south. They was headed to the border. Okay, let's call it thing a thing. Okay. So very early on in the case, there's a reporter. He was a law student, but he was a law student turned journalist, and he said that Shapiro was one of his law professors. So he reached out to Shapiro to kind of get an inside scoop on. No, it wasn't Shapiro. It was somebody else. I'm sorry. I don't think it was Shapiro. It was somebody else that was on the case. Hold on. Did I write his name down? Oh, shoot. Maybe it was Shapiro. Either way, it was one of the attorneys. Let me just say that. It was one of the attorneys. And he said, you know, this Mark Fuhrman guy, something's not right about him. Something's not right about this Mark Fuhrman guy. Now, remember, Mark Fuhrman was the first cop on the scene who found the both gloves. He found the left glove and the right glove. He was the one that saw the blood on the Bronco. That was him too, right? Now, mind you, the guy was sending the journalist on, he gave him the breadcrumbs, right? It was Shapiro, thank you, Brooklyn. He gave him the breadcrumbs. So the guy went and did the research, and he said, you know, I thought I was just going to find something, you know, he's a dirty cop or he's had some complaints against him. He said, but what I found was he didn't get sued. He actually sued the retirement board. Are y'all ready for this? He sued the pension board because he was trying to get a transfer because at the time he was in South Central LA. And they literally showed his paperwork where he wrote this in his paperwork that he needed to get away from the niggers. He said that, I'm paraphrasing because I didn't write it word for word, so I'm paraphrasing. But he said that being around all that violence and being around all those niggers was bad for his mental health. He said that he liked using excessive force, and he bragged about breaking arms and breaking legs of suspects. And he constantly used the word nigga, 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 nigga all through his paperwork when talking about his work environment. Now, clearly he got that transfer because he wasn't working in South Central anymore. He was working in old cushy old Brentwood now, right? Well, of course, once they got a hold of that, they put that in their back pocket. It's interesting that Mark Fuhrman even agreed to do. He agreed to do the documentary. He's actually in the documentary. I'm going to say something y'all not going to like. I'm going to say something that y'all are not going to like. Y'all not going to like what I'm going to say. Y'all not going to like it. Mark Fuhrman has also written some books on some true crimes. And there's one case up in Connecticut that involved a Kennedy and a young girl. And he's like a nephew to the Kennedys, allegedly unalived her. It's called, it was in Greenwich, Connecticut. And Mark Fuhrman wrote a book about it. And I read the book, and it actually wasn't a bad book. Y'all ain't gonna like that because we don't like Mark Fuhrman. But the book actually wasn't a bad book. Now, that's the only book by him that I did read. But I believe he's done a few true crime books. Yeah, Martha Moxley. Y'all know. I believe he's done a few true crime books, but that's the only one I read. But it actually wasn't that bad. I was like, I feel dirty reading this. But at the time, I was so caught up in the case. I really wanted that information. Anyway, that was years ago. I read that book years ago. So, I don't know. So, you don't like that, B-Lo? I'm sorry. I knew y'all wasn't going to like it. But I still love y'all. Okay. So then we get into Johnny Cochran, and they talk about who Johnny Cochran, Ethel Kennedy's nephew. Thank you. They talk. Did you pay for the book? I got it from the library. Child, no. Now I ain't give him no money now. Now I didn't give him no money. I got it from the library back in the day when we would go to the library and get books. I got it from the library. Okay. So, okay, thank you, El Michelle. El Michelle said, well, you really didn't support it. Thank you, my love. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted. Okay, let me get back to this. So then we get into Johnny Cochran, right? And they talk about who Johnny Cochran was. Now, here's the thing about Johnny Cochran. And I love this about Johnny Cochran, right? Johnny Cochran absolutely, his first claim to fame was a case, it was called the Detweiler case. It was a case of a man who was on his way to take his wife to the hospital. She was in labor, and he was speeding. It was a black couple. He was speeding because he was trying to get his wife to the hospital. Cop pulled him over. He was trying to explain to the cop, my wife is in labor. Do you think you could give me an escort to the hospital? I'm trying to get her there. And the cop ended up shooting him, and literally he was murdered, literally standing over top of his wife who was in labor at the time. So there was a police inquiry, and this is when Johnny Cochran's first claim to fame came about. Then it went through his career, and it talked about, he really, Johnny Cochran really did a lot of, he said one of the things, read up on the Geronimo Pratt. I know he doesn't go by Geronimo Pratt anymore, but that's the case. If you read up on Geronimo Pratt, Johnny Cochran lost the case of Geronimo Pratt early on in his career, and he was like, I will not rest easy until I right this wrong. Like, he's not guilty. He didn't do it. And that was one of the last things Johnny Cochran was able to do before he passed away. He was able to get Geronimo Pratt out of jail. I don't know the year, so when I say one of the last things, I don't mean literally one of the last things, but I remember that was after OJ and all of that. But if you go through Johnny Cochran's history, he definitely has a civil rights record. He has a great civil rights record. But like they said, but he also liked to live good. You know what I mean? He also liked to take the celebrity case. He also liked to make money. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, I feel like here's a man that definitely stood in the gap for civil rights. He definitely stood in the gap for the underrepresented. But he also earned the right to be able to take cases that were going to allow him the ability to live well. And I don't think that's a problem with that. You know what I'm saying? I'm okay with that. Do I remember him trying to call Bob Costas? I do. I think I remember Bob Costas having something to do with that, child. Right, the bills have to get paid. So I'm okay with that. And they didn't say it as a bad thing. They were just like, listen, Johnny, you know. So now we get into, he's assembling his dream team, and now we get to jury selection. Well, the polls showed that the worst jury for the prosecution to get will be a jury of older black women, because the black women the older black women was not trying to see OJ Simpson go to jail. They were trying to find people who were younger, who did not remember OJ Simpson in his prime. They did not remember him as this football hero, weren't around when he was at USC. Remember, he went to college at USC in, LA. So they were, and preferably white or Asian. So part of the problem, and in this case, it worked to OJ Simpson's favor. But again, it goes back to who's willing to serve jury duty, right? And they said that basically the only people who were left on the jury, out of the jury pool, because they said because the trial was going to last for over 6 months, predicted to last 6 months, and they were going to probably be sequestered, that pretty much eliminated people who had jobs. Not in 100%, not 100%, but most you could put on a jury summons. Hey, I'm sorry, this will be an undue burden on my family. This will be an undue burden, on my job. Like, I can't do 6 months, and I certainly can't do it sequestered where I can't see my family, or I can't, back then there was no such thing as working from home. Like, people weren't working from home. So so the majority of the jury pool was eliminated off the bat. They said out of 100 and something jury summons that were sent out, only 91 people showed. So that automatically eliminated it. And then they said something else that I was a little offended by, but I understood what they was trying to say. But I was a little offended. They were like, basically, the jury that was left were people who wouldn't have been smart enough to understand like the DNA evidence and all of that. I was a little offended by that because I feel like just because you don't have the kind of job where you could take off for 6 months, or maybe I didn't feel like that automatically meant you weren't smart enough to understand the damn evidence. Now, granted, DNA was still in its early stages and stuff like that, but shit, draw me a line and let me follow it. Johnny also won a large settlement here in Chictoga, a suburb of Buffalo. They showed him live when he stepped foot off the plane. Okay. Good for him. Yeah, definitely go Google Johnny Cochran beyond OJ Simpson. Definitely. Yeah. So the jury ended up being made up of 8 black women. They should have knew right there they was in trouble, which they did. Marsha Clark said she knew they were in trouble. They said during jury selection, OJ Simpson, they played a tape of OJ Simpson in an interview. Don't know what interview this was from. Where he said, throughout my life, I never paid attention to how many black people were in a room. I never paid attention to how many Asian people were in a room. I never paid attention to how many white people were in a room. But that during jury selection, I literally was counting the black people. And I said, but you didn't want to be black. Remember OJ? You just wanted to be OJ. You didn't want to be black. Chitagua. Okay. You just wanted to be black. I mean, you just wanted to be OJ, right? Why does it matter? Somebody said he deserved a jury of white people. And did. Okay. So then we picked the judge. We picked Judge Ito, which I think Judge Ito was in over his head. This was a celebrity. It was on TV. It was a celebrity. It was the trial of the century, right? It was on TV every day. Everything he did and said was Chitawaiga. Thank you, baby. And they said Judge Ito was a little overwhelmed by it all and was even a little starstruck somewhat, right? For example, during the trial, they wanted to take a field trip to see where the glove was. So they wanted the prosecution wanted to take the jury to Bundy. Bundy was Nicole's house, so they could see the crime scene and they could see where they found the different evidence or whatever. So Johnny Cochran and them was like, well, if we're going to go to Bundy, we need to go on up the street to Rockingham. We need to go to OJ's house. And Marsha and them was like, why are we going to OJ's house? Like, it didn't happen at OJ's house. And Ito was like, okay, let's go to OJ Simpson's house. And so Marsha was like, okay, fine. If we go to OJ Simpson's house, we only need to see where the other glove was found. We don't need to see nothing else because we really don't need to be there. But OJ's attorneys were able to argue, nah, they need to see everything. Baby, they took that jury to OJ Simpson's house and let them walk through OJ Simpson's house, and they had staged the house, honey. They had took down all them pictures with OJ and them white people, and they had put pictures up with OJ and probably any black people they could find. They even took a picture out of Johnny Cochran's office, the lithogram of Ruby Bridges, the Norman Rockwell painting, the very famous painting of Ruby Bridges walking behind with the police officers. And they put that thing at the top of the steps. Marsha said, I walked in that house and I said, oh no, the hell you didn't. She said, now y'all know good and damn well that's not them pictures that man had on that wall. Y'all know good and damn well that man had all them white people up there on that wall. Where are the white people? She said, well, Marsha Clark said she was mad as hell. She said, Marsha Clark said she was mad as hell. She said they had a hearing right there on the spot. They pulled Judge Ito over to the side and they had a hearing. And Judge Ito was like, I don't see no harm in it. Baby, that thing, right. This is what launched this trial launched Star Jones's career, national career. Because she was on the court TV. She was one of the correspondents on court TV. Baby, the attorney that was on the team, he said, listen, let me tell y'all something. He said if that jury had been Mexican, we'd have had a fucking mariachi band out front of the house. We said we'd have found a picture of OJ Simpson in a sombrero and put it up on that wall. Do you hear me? Y'all, when that man said they'd have had a mariachi band playing out in front of that house, baby, that thing took me out. I ain't lying. Because he ain't lying. He ain't lying. And he ain't wrong. That's what they supposed to do. That's what they supposed to do. Hey, Rod. Hey, boo. Ooh, Lord. They said they put pictures up that OJ probably didn't know he had. Oh, gosh. Oh, that's where my notes end. So then it really, so on a serious note, though, that is where you really, no, that's not the last of my notes, because I know, hold on. Because I wrote notes about something else. Hold on. This can't be the last of my notes, because I know I wrote notes. Oh, I skipped right over it. No wonder, because I was like, I know I wrote notes about this. Okay, I skipped right over it. Okay. So let me rewind, because I skipped right over it. Let me rewind. So, yeah, if you guys, for those of you that are new, or even just want to refresh your memory, if you guys have not looked at Ryan Murphy's American Crime Story when they do the trial, it is really good. It is excellent. Matter of fact, I think I might rewatch it. I'm not going to review it. Don't ask me, y'all. I ain't saying I'm reviewing it. But I might need to go back and watch it. But I remember when Rob Kardashian took that damn garment bag out the house, and he swear he never looked inside and he don't know what it was. But it was that day that he realized that he felt like OJ was guilty, child. It was after that that's an Iroquois name? Okay. I could tell it was Native American. Iroquois? Okay. Thank you. Baby. So they said when they got ready for the trial to start, all of a sudden the prosecution had a black man on the team. Mr. Charles Darden. And it was clear to everyone that the only reason why that man was on that team is because he was black. They had to show a little color on that prosecution team. So when it got time to argue about Mark Fuhrman testifying and about his use of racial slurs, they were trying to get all of that excluded. So Charles Darden goes to make the argument, because of course it's going to be the black man to make the argument about keeping the word nigger out, right? Going to be the black man. Christopher Darden argued, I'm oversimplifying, but basically his argument was because the jury was predominantly black, introducing the fact that Mark Fuhrman has used these racial slurs in his history would unduly influence the jury. They wouldn't be able to get past the fact that this white man uses that word, that he wouldn't be able to move past it, that the jury would not be able to see past the fact, oh, he's a racist, and therefore he had to have planted this evidence on this black man against this white woman, right? Now, Johnny Cochran gets up behind Christopher Darden, and he eviscerates that man. I don't remember it in real time because the trial played during the day while I was, at school and stuff. And again, this is before I mean, we had VHS and we could tape stuff, but I wasn't taping the trial. I wasn't doing that. He eviscerated Christopher Darden. He said, how dare this black man stand up here and insinuate that black people are so simple-minded. He ain't say simple-minded. I'm saying simple-minded. That they can't articulate and critically think past a white man using a racial slur. He has not only insulted me, he has insulted all of Black America. And then he said, I'm embarrassed for him. I said, damn, Johnny, you ain't had to do that man like that, Johnny. You didn't have to do that man like that, Johnny. He said, I'm embarrassed for him. What'd he do that man like that for? What he do that man like that for? Now, I don't know how Christopher Darden feels today in real time, but I know for a long time after the trial, Christopher Darden ain't had nothing nice to say about Johnny Cochran publicly. Now, I don't know what the man said privately, but publicly, he ain't had nothing nice to say about Johnny Cochran for a long time. I mean, a long time. They said, because one, he was embarrassed, obviously, but he was hurt as well. Because they said that he actually wanted to work for Johnny Cochran. Like, that was like, he was going to do his, do his due diligence and, work on the, work on one. And then he was going to go into defense. And he actually wanted to work for Johnny Cochran. So, of course, that totally... Baby, they say that man, they eviscerated that man. And they showed the clip. Obviously, we know that they were able to get the evidence in. Now, can I tell y'all a little secret? Y'all ready? Y'all want to hear my secret? I agree with Christopher. Y'all know good and damn well, if y'all was sitting on that jury and y'all heard what that man said about black people, I dream of unaliving black people. Get me out of Watts. Get me out of South Central because I can't stand being around all these niggas. I like using excessive force. I like breaking people's legs and breaking their arms. And it's and now you got this Johnny Cochran standing in front of you saying this man was the first person to find the glove. Coincidence? This person said he found blood on the Bronco. Coincidence? This person was the first person to show up at the crime scene. Coincidence? This person found the second glove. Coincidence? Now, I agree with you, Brooklyn. I think Johnny believed it too. Johnny knew. Because why are you fighting so hard to get it in if you don't think it's going to be effective? I'll be honest with you. Christopher Darden wasn't wrong in what he was saying, but Johnny Cochran did what he was supposed to do, too. He did his job. He did what he was supposed to do. Right? I could see past a little racism. What's a little N-word when two people went to the upper room? I'm going to say this, Tracy. I think I could see past, if you told me somebody, like if you said, oh, this person has been known to use that word, I could get past that in that setting. But when you add all the rest of that stuff, he dreams about unaliving black men. He sued to get a transfer out because he couldn't be around the Iggas any longer. He joked about using excessive force and bragged about, breaking people's arms and legs. If you're asking me, do I think this same person has the ability to plant evidence? My answer would be sure. Now, do I think he did it? I ain't saying that. But if I'm on a jury and that is what you're trying to convince me, remember, it's a reasonable doubt. It doesn't say no doubt. It's a reasonable doubt. So if you're saying to me, now this is the same person that just said all of these things about black people. Now we have this white woman and her friend unalived, and the suspect is her black violent husband. Is it under the umbrella of reasonable doubt? Maybe. Now that don't mean that I think he did plant the evidence. That don't even mean that I think, but again, it's the question of reasonable. Is it reasonable to think it? And again, you add that with everything else at the time we knew about the LAPD. Remember, we fresh off of Rodney King. Oh, he's currently running for Superior Court judge. I don't think, hey, Auntie Didi, thank you. I don't think that Christopher Darden is a bad guy. I think that, because let's be clear, a lot of people think OJ did it. And he was doing his job. I think didn't Christopher Darden write some books? Christopher Darden got fat. I mean, I'm fat. But you see how little or how slim he is during the trial, and then like 10 years later, baby, Christopher Darden had picked on some weight. Okay. I think the last time I remember seeing Christopher Darden might have been on Oprah or maybe The View. Because I know he wrote some books too. He wrote some books after the fact. Didn't Mark also come to the house after he assaulted her? She then didn't press charges and he got mad. Maybe. In contempt. Yeah. Now, I don't know if I ever read it. I said I wanted to read it. Maybe I'll go back and read it now. Maybe we'll add that to the book club list. Now, don't y'all say nothing to me about that book club. I'm trying. Y'all know I'm trying. But the summertime, we'll have some more time. Maybe we can do some books over the summer. Let's add it in the... Was it good, Marnie? Was it good? Fuhrman did respond to some of her DV calls. Okay. Y'all know what I'm reading right now, and maybe we'll talk about it when I'm done. It is good. Okay, let's add it to the list. Y'all know what is good. I can't even get it out. I started reading it on the plane when I went to Houston last week or the week before last. I was gonna say In Contempt. Summer on the Bluffs by Sunny Hostin. And she actually wrote a sequel to it already. So I'm reading that, and it's really good. I'm enjoying it. It's a really good book. I'm really enjoying it. All right. You got busy and never finished it? Well, maybe we'll finish it. Maybe we'll get into that. I'm sure it's on audio. The book, like 20 years old. I'm sure it's on audio. So that is part 3, you guys. So we're going to get into part 4. I think part 4 might be the final episode. Maybe it's a part 5, but usually them final parts will just be a bunch of stuff we don't need to talk about. But we'll do part 4. What's today? Wednesday. I'll try to watch it tomorrow night. Oh, I didn't know that Sunny Hostin's father lives down in the borough. I didn't know that. That's my old stomping grounds, Uncle Jay. I lived in Greensboro for 6 years. Yeah. Well, Greensboro / Greensboro shit. I live in Greensboro. Am I going to watch the Amanda Seales interview? I'm not. Let me tell you why I'm not going to watch the Amanda Seales interview. She irks my soul. I can't with her. I can't. Do I think that she makes valid points at times? Yes. But overall, she irks me. I can't. I'm not. I've already seen a couple of clips, and it's already getting on my nerves. I've seen like 3 or 4 clips from the interview, and it's already irritating me. So I'm probably not. Really, I also think some people have to know that some of the best prosecuting attorneys make the best defense attorneys. Like Johnny, he started in the LA District Attorney's Office. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yeah, I was done with Amanda when she lied on a neurosurgeon. Yes, she did. And then she tried to double talk, which is what I hate even worse. You try to come back and be like, well, I never said it. What I said was, no, I don't play them games. You put it out there. Amanda and Monique, I'm just keeping in my prayers. I can watch. I'm tired. Yeah, yep, she said it on The View years ago. You was in Brown Summit or something. No, I was in Green. I was thinking because when one of my apartments was like right on the outskirts, down by Celebration Station. Over by Celebration Station. But I had to think about it. It's still Greensboro though. But it's near. It's like right on the line. It's right on the line. But it was still Greensboro. But it was over by this. Celebration Station still open. You know what Celebrations? It was right over there by Celebration Station. It's right. I had an apartment over there. What was the name of what was the name of that apartment complex? Oh shoot. If I could think of the name of it, I'll tell you. Something with hills in it. Something hills. What was it? It has hills in it. What's the name of that apartment complex I used to live in? You used to work at Celebration Station? It's still open. Okay. Yeah, it's something. What was it called? It was something Hills. Yeah, it wasn't too far for Wendover. And then my first apartment, well, no, my second apartment, because my first apartment I lived in by myself. Let me put it that way. It's a apartment complex, and I would never remember the name of this place. Right next to the Walmart on Wendover. Before they built up, not Wendover, Battleground. If you the Walmart that used to be all the way down Battleground, like literally it was at the end of Greensboro. It was literally at the end. It was right on the line. It was still Greensboro though. But you know what that Walmart is right there? It's literally like, I don't know if it's still there or not. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's probably an old Walmart. Yeah, it may not even be there anymore because it was, again, I ain't lived in Greensboro in 30 years. New Garden, right over there. Yeah. And it was like a park back up in there that I used to go walking in that park. But it was right there. You go all the way down Battleground. It used to be, let me tell you, it was a brand new grocery store back then. I know it's closed now. It used to be a buy low off of Lawndale. Yep. Spring Garden. No, it was past Spring Garden, but it was down that way. It used to be, it was a Walmart there. And then like, if you went down, coming back towards Greensboro, it was like a Stein Mart and, a little strip mall area right there. And then it was like what was that? A TGI Fridays or a Ruby Tuesdays? Was it called Memorial Park? Mm-hmm. Yep. So that was my first apartment by myself. And it was a 1-bedroom apartment. Let me tell y'all something. It was a 1-bedroom apartment. I had a washer and dryer in my apartment. Ask me how much my rent was. My rent was $500 a month. I paid $350 and my parents paid $200. Or no, it might have been $600 a month because I think I split it with my parents. So maybe it was $550. It was because I remember I paid $350 and my parents paid the difference. Maybe they paid $200. But I know they paid the difference. I paid $350 and they paid the difference. Yep, that was my first apartment. Yeah, right. With a washer and dryer, 1-bedroom apartment, washer and dryer. And I had a little patio too. I had a little, I couldn't get to the patio from inside the apartment, but it was right outside, right out in front of the apartment. I had a little patio. Sure did. You paid $500 for your first apartment too? Those apartments are now $1,800 a month. I believe it. Because it was a nice apartment. It was a nice apartment. It was quiet and it was far enough away from campus that I didn't have no accidental visits. Like if you came out there to see me, you meant to. If you came all the way down Battleground, you meant to. It was on purpose. It wasn't no accident. You meant to come down there. So that was the other thing I loved about it, baby. It wasn't no accidental. Yeah, it wasn't no accidental. And then I moved to the house, the place over there off of Wendover. Friendly Hills. That was what it was. Friendly Hills. Right over there by Celebration Station. Yep. Friendly Hills. That's what it was called. And I had a 1-bedroom apartment there too. But I didn't have a washer and dryer. I was mad. I said, shit, I should have never left my other place. But that's when I was working out by the airport. So it was closer to my job. My first apartment was by A&T. It was $375. I had a roommate, my cousin. He was the child. I know you wasn't over there in Friendly Hill. I mean, what was that? What was it right across the street? What was that apartments right across the street from A&T back in the day, y'all? Jonathan, you know. It was one step above public housing, child. You know, what was the name of them apartments? What was the name? I'm about to get off here, y'all. We ain't even talking about OJ no more. What was the name of those apartments that were right across the street from A&T? It was like I said, one step above public housing, child. There was a bunch of A&T students there. Forest Grove. Forest Grove, baby. Woo, Forest Grove. Forest Grove. That used to be. Woo, the stories. All right, I'm going to bed. Ooh, the stories we could tell about Forest Grove. I figured they tore Forest Grove down. Listen, that don't surprise me at all that Forest Grove is gone. Baby, they should have tore it down when I was there. Many band parties there, every party there. Shoot. And during homecoming, it was just one big ass block party up in there because everybody was getting it in during homecoming. You could walk through Forest Grove and it was just one big long party. It was just one big long party walking through Forest Grove during homecoming. That whole area back up in there. It's not gone and remodeled it and turned it into student apartments. Yeah, I thought that's what I was told. That A&T got it. A&T got them. Okay, let me get over here, y'all. All right, I'll talk to y'all later. So, like I said, part 4, I'll try to watch it tomorrow. Y'all know Saturday, I'm busy all day Saturday. I'm not gonna be able to do anything on Saturday. But maybe Sunday. Because all we have is the final part of Love and Marriage Huntsville. I mean, Love and Marriage. Lord, I said Huntsville. Love and Marriage DC. So maybe we'll do it on Sunday. All right, y'all. Let me get out of here so I can go to bed. I will talk to y'all later. Mwah. Peace. House of Prayer folks just built apartments across from the church right on Bennett. Right at Bennett. Oh, in that field where that right across the street from it used to be like it was an open field. They just built apartments there. Wow. Okay. I ain't mad at it. All right, y'all. I'll talk to y'all later. Mwah. Peace.